is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right, now let's go to the special teams grades, shall I say. It's a shame. I mean, overall, the two glaring, mishaps, shall we say, right, was happening in the first quarter and one in the fourth quarter, the two that I'm thinking of, right, is that obviously the one, a third of a second into the game, the Browns had the ball at the Giants with 24-yard line. Thank you, Eric Gray. So that's one. And then the other one would be when Joseph missed it was I think it was 48 yards. He's not 39 to 40 yards in. He's pretty good. He'll miss 1 out of every 10 field goal. I'm an idiot. He'll miss 1 out of every 10 extra point tries. If he was 10 out of 10 and he made every field goal, guess what? He wouldn't be on the streets, right? So he'll miss the oddball extra point every now and then. It's going to happen. But from 39 yards in, which means you got to get down around like the 22-yard line, somewhere 21, 22, he's really good. But you get to 40 yards out, like a 48-yarder, he's obviously not so good. And as we saw in the fourth quarter, he was not so good. The thing was, because it would have put him up by 2 scores. It was 21-15, kicked the field goal, 24-15, 9 points. They got to score 2 times, and they had a hard time moving the ball, right? So to have them move the ball, kick a field goal, score a touchdown, and then get the ball back and move that down the field again would have been a tall order for the Browns. So it would have been so nice to kick that field goal, but it was unfortunately not meant to be. All right, there's a ton of guys who are in special teams, as there always are. Casey Crider, the long snapper, led the way, 72.9. I'm not going to go over every guy here. Ty Summers, that was the reason why he's off the practice squad and on the team. Now, that's his third elevation. If they want to elevate him, I think, one more time, they got to put him on the 53-man roster. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do this week against the Cowgirls. But he had a good game, right? 20 total, right? Patrick Johnson was in there for 22 snaps. So as you see, Ty Summers was in there for almost every special team snap. He graded a 71.9. Jacob. Not Jacob, but Jacob. Johnson, 18, 71.8. Bryce Ford Wheaton, another good one. Another good job. 20 snaps altogether, 70.4. Bellinger, 18 snaps, 69.5. Now, just because also like with Bellinger, just because he's maybe not getting a ton of offensive snaps does not mean he's not being put on special teams. So he's getting, you figure he had over 40 snaps on the day, right? It's just kind of shocking because it's a third year for him. Usually the third year is where you start. That's where you hit your a lot of times what Shane says, and I've heard a few other people say this. It's where you hit your ceiling and you're going to start leveling off. Now, it seemed rather promising his rookie season. I'm not saying it was going to be a Mark Bavaro or a Kelsey or some Hall of Fame Gonzalez or something like that, but it seemed like, this guy, okay. All right. Last year, he had to take a back seat to Waller. Okay. But this year's third year. So first year, second year, learn from Waller. He's in the same system. He should be getting better. This working on his trait and skills and craft and all that stuff. And it was just his third year, and they got Theo Johnson in there ahead of him. So it's kind of like, I don't know. But Belton, 68.4. Isaiah Simmons, 64.2. Eric Gray. I'm a little lost on this one. 63.1. His kickoff, 41.4. I don't know how he got to be a 63.1 when he fumbled the football on the opening kickoff. So there's a lot of things they got that I don't quite know or understand. Tyler Newman, 61. And then a lot of this stuff's in the 60s. I mean, when you see 60, right? That's just like some type of, a lot of times when you see a 60 on a special team or anywhere, a lot of it with PFF just seems like what I just say is that when you get a 60, you have very minimal amount of snaps, and it's they just that's like an average score they seem to give people, nothing super spectacular. Because you see the 60 here, right? I mean, okay, well, this one here, Patrick Johnson was 22 snaps, but a lot of these 60s here, right? This guy had 2 snaps, 2, 2, 2, 6, 4, 4, 7, 4, 4, 4. You know what I mean? So a lot of just mediocre grades, nothing horrible. Chris Manhertz is in there for 14 snaps, 44.3. He had the worst out of them all. Dory Jackson, he was at a 50. So I mean, that's not too bad. As I said, the thing is just kind of disappointing was, those 2. Yeah, 2. I mean, you figure if it worst come to worst, if Eric Gray could at least held on to the ball, we're punting out of there, right? We get out to say the 30-yard line, the hammer boots 140 yards or so. Now Cleveland's starting at their own 30-yard line. Maybe they don't even make it to midfield. And maybe we shut them out in the first half. Who knows? But, I mean, the way to start a football game is 11 seconds into the football game, you're down 7-0 already. Giants were lucky enough that they were able to, reverse the tide and go up 21-7 at halftime. Thankfully, they didn't have to score at all in the second half. Usually, you don't score in the second half, and you're asking for disaster, but it worked out pretty well for the Giants.